I'm really excited to introduce Sanjeev Shetty today, and he is from Connected Living. And we connected through a friend of mine, and I'm just super excited because I've been able to do some research in the 3 books I've wrote of just the problems we have in senior living and our ability to offer new solutions, new innovation. Really, it's breathtaking. So I'm excited to introduce the Sanjeev, and I'm really excited for what he's going to cover today because we've talked about this in the past. But it's something I wish there was 400 people on the call today, because it's something that we all need to talk about as a society as we move into a world where we have new tools. And it's exciting to bring these tools to solve problems in 2021. So thanks, Sanjeev. I'm glad you're here and looking forward to working with you even in the future.
Thank you, Todd. And so great to be part of this conversation. And, you know, everything I'm hearing from everybody is just resonating with me, because it's things that I hear all the time. There's some background noise there. I don't know if someone's...
Yep, I just made a new person.
Okay, wonderful. Are you able to hear me and see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yes. I just want to make sure. So what I want to do is today just talk a little bit about who we are, Connected Living, you know, my background, and then do a short demo of some of the areas we're innovating in. You know, so my name is Sanjeev Shetty. I've been with Connected Living for a little over 2 years. My role is really the Chief Strategy and Innovation Officer. I'm also trying to take us global. A little bit about Connected Living. We've been around for over a decade, and we've really invested heavily in our technology to make it easier for seniors to connect with family members, with staff, with caregivers, regardless of what level of living they're in. So they could be in a community, it could be any level of living, it could be, you know, memory care, it could be skilled nursing, you know, it could be hospice, it could be rehab, it could be independent living. It could even be someone aging in place at home. You know, a lot of my background before I came to Connected Living was on the provider side, where I was trying to innovate and create solutions for the state of Maryland. At the time, we were looking at rolling out low-cost aging in place solutions for Baltimore County. And we were really grappling with all kinds of issues, right? How do we make this technology affordable? How do we get it to be reimbursed? How do we roll it out? You know, what does the package look like? You know, there were all these different factors that, you know, that came into the picture that we had to work with. And, you know, I got connected with Connected Living when I was on the provider side, and we were actually looking for a low-cost solution to connect seniors and their families. And we came across Connected Living. And the one thing that really caught my eye was, not only is there no reference to ageism in this technology, which makes it really easy and, you know, purposeful to use this technology, but it's also, they were really focused on, you know, occupancy, engagement, morale, purpose, staff efficiency, all the things that we were grappling with on the provider side. And that's what really caught my eye. And that's why, you know, when this opportunity came up, I took on this role. But, you know, fortunately for us, you know, fast forward a couple of years later, we're in about 500 communities. We're about to triple in size this year. We got acquired late last year by Omega Healthcare Investors, which is the 3rd largest healthcare REIT in the country, because they saw the value in what we were doing. And of course, now as we come out of this pandemic, which has been horrific for, you know, a lot of us, you know, we're looking at new ways to bolt on and add to our technology suite. So speaking of our technology suite, if you can see my screen, this is sort of a snapshot of who we are and how we function within our ecosystem. At the very core, in the center, you see that little circle. That's our cloud-based, HIPAA-compliant SaaS platform. We call it ECMS. And what that essentially does is it helps communities, providers, whoever adopts the technology, to be able to have one central point of content dissemination. So regardless of what the content is, whether it's videos, whether it's YouTube links, whether it's Zoom links, whether it's just PDFs, they can put all of that into this content management system. And then the content management system, based on permissions and security, decides where it goes. So people learn in different ways. And what you see around the circle is those different modalities or endpoints, as we call it. So we have built our own native mobile apps, whether it's on Apple iOS or Google's Android store. We connect to wearables. We were one of the first ones in the industry to actually build an Apple TV app. So it's kind of like the Netflix experience where you can actually consume content in your room as you're sitting there. You can order meals, you can put in a service request, you can attend a Zoom event, you can get wellness programming into the room. And then of course we have the option of also connecting to your television provider, whether it's Spectrum or AT&T or DirecTV, and bring in the content just like you would see in a hotel into the room as well. One of the things we did early on in our evolution is we were tapped by Amazon Alexa, and we were asked to really look at the senior market and build a senior specific voice skill. Obviously voice is big. And I think Amazon Alexa in one of the conferences said that, if voice is not part of your strategy, you're probably going to be left behind because a lot of people, want to interact through voice. So what we did was we created a senior specific skill with, over 250 prompts, which allows seniors to actually, interact with Alexa devices, with our robots, to any Alexa enabled device through voice. So that was something that we were really proud of. And then on the right, we have a whole slew of digital programming. We call it the Resident Network. We've got things like Connected Living University. We've got, a whole bunch of wellness programming. All of that is available to the Resident Network. And we've made our platform so simple that we really don't need a smartphone. You got to keep in mind the average age of a person entering assisted living is about somewhere between 83 and 87. So not everyone has a smartphone. And in that instance, you're able to actually access our desktop platform and you get the same look and feel that you would get on a smartphone. And then last but not least, we have Tammy the Robot. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that because that's a very interesting, a new innovation, very easy to use platform, very affordable. And we're seeing a lot of traction in that space. In fact, we've rolled out about 250 of these in the last year alone. And then of course we have, the standard printed newsletters and calendars and visual signs that most communities like to have in their lobbies and dining areas as well. So that's a little bit about who we are. So I'm going to focus on Tammy because I think this is the most interesting piece of our ecosystem and product suite. So Tammy, what is Tammy? In case you're wondering. So Tammy is the world's first personal assistant robotics platform. I came from a provider that invested in SoftBank's Pepper robot. It cost us $75,000. We finally got it in. And after we had it into the community, we were like, you know what? We need like 10 data scientists to make this thing even move because it's so freaking complicated. And then we were like, all right, what are we going to do with this piece of hardware? It was nice because it had hands and legs and, sang songs for us, but we were like, we can't really make this work. Where's the ROI? I mean, we just spent $75,000. And finally just sat there as a boat anchor and, was taking selfies with visitors. So we were like, all right, this is not really practical. We need something that comes out of the box, that works, that actually solves a problem out of the box, right? And that's how we landed upon Tammy. And this has been a great partnership, with Tammy and Connected Living because there hasn't been a better alignment between technology and a use case than taking the Tammy robot and inserting it into senior living. At the onset of the pandemic, you all, saw those little grants that were being, handed out by FCC and CMS, right? All these grants went to assisted living providers for tablets. Guess what? The average age of a person is 85 and 87. Who's going to show them how to use these tablets and connect to their families? So what happened was they were trying to solve a problem, right? But guess what? It created another problem. Now the staff have to go into that room and show them how to use a tablet, show them how to download Zoom, show them how to navigate. And it really didn't solve anything. So, you know, Tammy, what it did was, because of its autonomous navigation, and I'm going to talk about all of its features, it's easy to use. You just schedule a time when they want to meet their family members, you send it to the room. It can even ring the doorbell, right? And it comes in, you know, your loved one's on the other side, you know, your loved one can move around the room, and I'll show you how that's done using Tammy's, you know, sophisticated technology. It's got 16 sensors on it. It's got depth sensors. It's got LiDAR sensors. It's got an RGB camera. It's got proximity sensors. And it's even got a 10-inch tablet, which is its head. So if you can use a tablet, if you can use Android, if you can use, you know, a phone, and you can speak, you know, you can use Tammy. It's that easy. So how does Tammy help you? So Tammy, because it's a platform, it really allows you to customize your use case to the robot. So what I mean by that is there isn't really one use case. And you can see here that Tammy is being used, you know, in hospitality. We just built a tray on the back of Tammy, which allows you to take coffee into a room, snacks into a room, fruits into a room. You know, enterprise is using it, hospitality is using it, educational facilities, MIT Age Labs using it. You know, healthcare facilities are using it for telemedicine. Security companies are using it for patrolling, you know, compliance. People are using it at home, people with disabilities. In fact, one of my projects that I'm working on is I'm trying to get, you know, CMS and others to actually approve this as an assistive device, because people with disabilities who are not able to, you know, perform certain functions can actually use the Tammy robot to perform those functions for them. You know, this is a picture of Tammy actually helping in the hospitality industry, where it brings in coffee and food and trays and things of that nature. And as you can see on this slide here, you know, you've got, you know, Tammy has been around for a few years, but you've got some really big names. You know, obviously on the healthcare side, you've got us and Baxter and Trillium and some of the other big names you can recognize here on the telecom side as well that are using Tammy for various use cases. So the nice thing about Tammy is when you get it, you get this thing called Semicenter, which is a fleet control or fleet management platform. It's, you can access it on a desktop with a login and a password. What it allows you to do, and I'm going to show you this in a bit when I do the demo, is it allows you to control your Tammys remotely. It also allows you to customize the Tammy. So let's say you want Tammy's face to have certain functions, like, you know, maybe you want to have a button to call the caregiver. Maybe you want a button to interact with your loved one. Maybe you want a button to order food. All of that can be customized on Tammy's, you know, head, which is an Android tablet. You can also configure your map. So let's say you have, you know, an office building and you want to configure, you know, 20 rooms in that office building and different offices in the lobby. You can do all of that through Semicenter as well. My favorite feature actually is the sequences, because this is where Tammy comes alive. So essentially what you're going to see here in a few minutes, I'm going to actually demonstrate what a sequence looks like, because Tammy is going to walk in here in a few minutes, is you can have it programmed very easily to have it do whatever you want it to do. So you can have it go to a location, you can have it show video, you can have it play music, you can have it say a script, you can have it recognize someone's face. There's all kinds of things you can do with it. And then of course, you know, you can set your home screen to be whatever you want it to be. You can have contacts in there, and all of this is, you know, completely secure, completely hardened. There's no, you know, there's nothing stored on the robot. It's all cloud-based. You know, this is something we did with Maplewood, which is one of our anchor clients. It's a senior living facility. They have the biggest facility in New York City on the Upper East Side. They spent about $300 million on that building, and they put a Tammy robot on every single floor. And they're essentially seeing a huge lift in productivity when it comes to connecting residents with loved ones, trying to get doctors connected to residents, and they're using it for a whole bunch of other entertainment and wellness programming as well. Things like yoga, meditation are all brought in through Tammy. So what I want to do now is I'm going to switch gears, and I'm going to switch my camera and show you what Tammy is like in person. So I've created a script about, and hopefully you can see my hallway and you can hear me. Is the audio okay?
Yes. Can you stop sharing your screen for a second so we can see you?
Yes. Yep. Is that better?
Yes. And if you can't see, just click on his name so he comes up.
So there we go. So Tammy is going to stroll into my office. She's going to introduce herself, and we're going to do some fun things. So here she comes. Give her about 5 seconds.
Hello, Todd and Chamber Innovator attendees. My name is Tammy. I am an affordable 3-foot 25-pound personal assistant AI robotics platform. Thank you for inviting me to your demo session. Sanjeev and Todd asked me to join. Here are a few things I can do. I can host a hands-free moving telehealth call between your customer and their doctor. I can map your office or building and move to locations autonomously, helping your staff with an added tool for customer-centered care. I can also recognize individuals through facial recognition, be a voice-activated smart personal concierge assistant in the room, take interactive surveys and deliver food items. Most recently, during the pandemic last year, I have hosted virtual patient visits, enabled live-streamed educational events and engaged customers through interactive programming and joyful music. I have a Follow Me feature which can be enabled by tapping the top of my head, which is an Android tablet. I particularly like to mingle with staff and customers to answer questions regarding your products and services, take surveys and conduct sales virtual tours. I could see myself helping a community innovate by enhancing their smart concierge services, bringing some of your wellness programming into the room with VR sets, helping your staff with daily routines and resources, and adding to your toolset for your nurses. Caregivers and nurses can also now be more productive, performing more patient visits from any site and leverage my remote monitoring capabilities. All of this is possible through my integration with Connected Living and my inbuilt telemedicine platform, which can be easily downloaded on the Temi store. I will now demonstrate my Telepresence feature with a live call with Sanjeev. By the way, check out my food tray. It has coffee and snacks. Thank you and have a great day.
So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually dial in to Tammy. I'm going to mute it so we don't get any background noise. But what you're seeing now is me on Tammy, and this could be a family member. Picture this, a family member coming into someone's room or building remotely. And now I can control Tammy using my Temi app on my mobile phone. So now I'm moving Temi around. You can see him, just moving her around using my phone. I can look up. I can look down, look up, and all this while I can see what Temi is seeing and hear what Temi is hearing. Now I can even have her go to a certain location. So let's say I want her to go to my hallway. I just click on the hallway icon, which is a location that's saved, and she will go to the hallway. And all this while, I'm actually seeing what she's seeing through telepresence. So this is the beauty of telepresence, is I can get into this. It's kind of like that movie Ghost, where the ghost enters someone's body. Except here I've entered Temi's body, and I'm actually able to see what she's seeing. And there it is. She comes back to me. The other feature that I really like about Temi is the Follow Me feature. And Follow Me feature, the way it works is you simply tap the top of Temi's head, and Temi recognizes that there's a body in front of it. Right now it's me, and it's just going to follow me wherever I go. So I just have to walk, and Temi will just follow me everywhere I go. So literally, if you have certain things, you don't want to carry it, you want to take it into a room, Temi will just follow you everywhere you go.
This becomes interesting if you're doing a virtual sales tour as well, because now your prospects can come into the building and be able to see your building without having to step foot in your building. This becomes really interesting in a retail environment. In fact, we just had a boating showroom, one of the biggest ones in the country, buy these robots so they can have people see their boats and get a tour of their facility without having to step foot into their showroom. So it's a pretty neat feature. The other thing I really like about it is you don't have to have a smartphone. You can speak to Tammy. So you can say stuff like, Alexa, ask my Tammy to go to home base.
Okay, asking Tammy to go to home base.
So there you have it. That's Tammy.
Crazy.
So that was my presentation. I'd love to take some questions. I know I've been doing a lot of the talking here, but would love to take questions.
Yeah, great. Oh, I'll mute somebody here. A second.
And they on the side, Kilo. Sanchez?
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me?
I think I heard some background noise, so I muted a couple people. Sorry about that.
Okay. Sanjeev, is this compatible with Apple products?
So this is an Android platform. It is Android based. So the answer, the short answer is no. It's an Android based platform.
Got it.
Cool. Yeah, I always love seeing that demo. I know you showed me before. And anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, how is it powered? This is Bobby.
Hey,
how is it powered?
So it's got something called a home base. It's got an 8-hour battery life. So there's a battery.
8 hours? Okay.
8 hours, yep. And then 10 minutes before it dies, it reminds you that it needs to be charged. And then 5 minutes before it dies, it actually automatically goes back to the home base to recharge.
Oh,
it's kind of like
smart.
a Tesla, you know, you just, it's got a charging station and it goes back to that charging station automatically. And yeah, and all the software updates come in automatically, just like you would get in your Tesla car. So the hardware rarely changes.
Thank you.
Are there any plans to have it programmed with Apple products?
You know, that's a great question. I can find out. You know, they're innovating and putting out releases, you know, every other month. So I wouldn't be surprised if they integrate with Apple as well.
You should get one of these one day, Steve.
Absolutely. I can just see it following me around in the chamber.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. You know, it just brings so much joy to everyone that we sell this to. It's just amazing that people just love it. And you know, when people think of robots, they're thinking this huge investment, and here you have this robot that's like the price of a MacBook, right? Here under $4,000, it's like crazy with all of its features and functionality. Just you know, people are blown away by it.
Sanjeev,
that was the question I was going to ask. Price is about $4,000 per unit.
Yeah, if you're buying one, it's $3,999. If you buy multiple, you know, obviously you get a volume discount.
So it's very affordable. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
What is the limit of the software that can be on it? Is it just for apps, or can it do other types of software?
So it comes with an Sdk kit, which is a software development kit. So you can pretty much put anything on it. For example, you know, we're working with a large partner who wants to put their telemedicine platform on it. So as long as it's, you know, they have an Android app, it'll work right out of the box. You know, we just have to get the APK on it and, you know, make sure it's in landscape mode. So we can certainly make that happen if there's an Android version. It's a lot easier if there's an Android version. Let me just put it that way, as opposed to being a web app.
So you could be able to do like even platforms for virtual reality. Is that a possibility?
Yeah, in fact, that was one of the topics we were talking about today, is trying to, because think about it, like what I was seeing through Tammy's eyes was on my mobile phone. Now imagine if I put my VR set on and now I'm able to get this 3D kind of immersive experience where I'm actually like witnessing the walls and witnessing people around me and like avoiding things and like moving around like I'm actually in the room as opposed to seeing it on a tablet or a phone. It would just be amazing. So, that's definitely the next step.
Okay, thank you. That sounds very intriguing because, I mean, if you could do that and like with Todd's projects going into nursing homes and places like that, where they're able to experience that type of, with the VR world and have the person on the other side, their family members, to be able to be in a setting like that would be pretty phenomenal.
Yep, absolutely. And the biggest use case I see with Tammy is the telepresence. Being able to connect people who are physically separated. We've all seen those images, right, of skilled nursing facilities with someone outside the window, like touching the window.
Right.
That was sort of the extreme situation, but we have situations where people are in different offices. I mean, if you even think of like the ability to provide virtual care, right? In the old days, you had to push these carts around, then you have to give someone a tablet, and then the person's like struggling to hold the tablet, and then you've got all these things stuck to the machine, and you're trying to navigate this clunky piece of hardware through a community. And Tammy removes all that friction, right? Now you got a tray, Tammy just follows you around, you've got the doctor on the other side doing his rounding, the head's moving as the person's moving. You can zoom in, zoom out for wound care. I mean, you've eliminated all that friction with the old technology. So it's just one of those things where you get, the best of everything. You get the hands-free call, you get the moving video calls, you get the telepresence, you get the autonomous navigation. I mean, we talked about the nursing shortage, right? Nurses are looking for any help that they can get. In the old days, a nurse had to remember 10 things. Now they got to remember like 100 things. And on top of that, you got to carry all these things into the room. And, so any help that they can get, whether it's, from ensuring compliance to, having Tammy follow them around, providing, some of those resources that they need, they're going to take it.
I have a comment, and I'd like to just introduce myself. My name is Mark Valladolid. I'm actually a director of IT for a senior living facility or community of senior living facilities here in San Diego. Mm-hmm. I was actually provided this link by my chief executive officer. Mm-hmm. I got to tell you, this is a very impressive platform. It's probably the most impressive thing I've seen to date with regards to using robotics. I had just have a couple questions. In terms of the prerequisites required to keep this robot moving, I'm assuming that it's Wi-Fi based and it does require Wi-Fi to communicate back and forth with a base? It does. So you need Wi-Fi. If you don't have Wi-Fi or you don't have solid Wi-Fi, we do provide this thing called smart Wi-Fi, or those mobile hotspots that go right underneath the tray. I think it's called MiFi. The big providers, AT&T and Verizon provides it, and there's a small monthly fee for that. But but it does require the internet to function. And my second question was, is this I'm assuming this is a production model. It's not something that's still in beta. I got to tell you, one of the most challenging things in my profession is that, senior living is usually, quite a few years behind the rest of the acute world. So when we're talking about this particular product and the ecosystem, is this a product in production, or is this something that's still being worked through? No, this has been in production for the last 2 years. In fact, we have 250 of these rolled out in senior living communities as we speak and growing. So it's been used. It's fairly advanced in terms of its functionality and use cases. I can certainly spend more time with you showing you a very detailed list of things it's doing within senior living.
currently, whether it's family engagement, staff engagement, resident screenings, surveys. I mean, you name it, it's doing a whole bunch of things. Tammy's a workhorse. It doesn't just sit around and, play music all day. It actually, you can program it to do various things at different intervals.
And it can even, for COVID, spray the chemicals, right? You can program it.
That's right, yep. One of the things I used to do personally is, when the pandemic first hit is we built this 3D tray that sits on the back of Tammy. And I put these canisters, which had these really, good, they were like foggers, and I should turn them on and just put Tammy in control mode and just go like room to room and just spray this really safe, EPA approved sanitation liquid around my house just to keep it clean.
Thank you for yielding my questions. And I went ahead and sent you my email address through the chat. I would most definitely appreciate some additional information. Thank you.
Yeah, I will definitely set up time with you to do a deep dive and show you all the cool things we can do for you.
Sanjeev, this is Timmy. I wanted to ask you, in the context of assisted living where there are doors to apartments, what are some of the other, I want to say, retrofitted issues, right? How does Tammy go from door to door? How do you make it more, sophisticated where she could ring a doorbell or whatever?
Yeah, so Tammy doesn't have arms or legs. So the way that Tammy moves around is through mapping. So it creates a two-dimensional map. So one of the first things we do, and maybe I should pull up Semicenter because this may make more sense. A picture is worth 1,000 words. So let me just share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so this is Semicenter, right? So one of the first things you do is you go in when Tammy rolls out of its ramp. It comes fully assembled, by the way, out of the box. One of the first things you do is you have it map your building, your office, your floor. What you're seeing here is a map of my first floor, my house. So one of the first things I did was just had Tammy follow me by tapping its head. And I just walked around the periphery of my main level. So you see these black marks at the corner? These are my walls. And then what you do is everywhere you want Tammy to go and stop or visit, let's say it's a room, you simply, you can do it two ways. You can either add the location on Tammy, you can add it through Semicenter, or you can simply speak to it and say, Tammy, add this location. So for example, I've got spots here for my home base, my demo location, kitchen, my hallway, my living room. You can even add a virtual wall at the bottom. So for example, if you didn't want it to go into a certain space, you just add a virtual wall. You can add a location, you can add a path. So let's say you wanted to go to a place a certain way. Like let's say you had like obstacles or you had a ramp and you didn't want it to go near the ramp. You can create a path for it to go through. So as long as you have carpeting or hardwood, you're good to go. There's also a place here where you can call into your Tammy. You select your Tammy and then you can call into it and then move around so you can actually see what Tammy sees. You can create sequences. So this is what I was talking about. So for example, what you saw today was created through a sequence where I selected my robot. I picked the location, which was, the demo location. I saved it. I created this very simple script. This is a script. You can pick a language. So let's say you have people speaking Spanish, you can select Spanish. I had it position itself, and then I had it, go to that location. And this can be done using scripts or sequences. We already showed you map editor. You can have all of your contacts in here. You can create groups. You can store all of your media in here. So for example, I have a media here that shows you how to, some of the things that Tammy does, and I can play it. Now, of course, all of this can be played.
Welcome to the Ocean Lodge. How can I help you today? All right, let's get you checked in. Welcome. Thank you for being an Ocean Lodge Rewards member. Is the following information correct? Your room key is now being dispensed at the counter. Follow me there to complete your check. Be sure to grab your room key from the illuminated key dispenser from the counter. We hope you enjoy your stay. Let us know if there's anything we can do to help.
So this is a piece of media that's stored on here. And then of course you can control your Tammys as well. So if I want to control it from, let's say I'm an admin and I want to control my fleet of Tammys, I can simply click on a location. So I'm going to click on demo location, and Tammy is going to, you know, roll back into my office here just by me clicking that location. You know, there she is. I can, you know, click another location here, and you know, she'll go to the hallway.
That's just amazing.
Yeah.
You know, and all of this, you know, so the nice thing about Tammy is it's so simple to use. You don't have to have a desktop or a smartphone. You can simply talk to her, you know, and control her that way. You can even customize it. So, you know, I created a custom screen here where I took the Chamber Innovators website and put it up here, but you can create like a function button, you know, where you can have little buttons for what you want it to do. And that way people coming into your lobby can just press that button and access things. You know, it comes enabled with Alexa, so you can ask it. You know, the nice thing that one of the first things we did was we integrated our connected living skill with Tammy, so you could ask it questions like, hey, has my mail been delivered? You know, what's for lunch? Are there announcements? Are there bulletins? You know, what's on my schedule for today? Things of that nature can be done as well. So yeah, it's a really neat platform. And there's so much you can do with it. Hope that answered your question.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's incredible. Robert, you had your blue hand up.
Sanjeev, what's the typical time on onboarding a client with setting it all up?
So typically, you know, the procurement takes about a week, and then the onboarding, depending on how many you get, because it's, you know, each one could take a few hours. The long pole in the tent is typically the map configuration, you know, taking it, because, you know, we sell into hospitals who have like, you know, 100 locations, right, 100 rooms. And that takes a long time to set up because you got to go to every single room, make it stop, set the location, name the location, put the room number, have it go back to home base after a few locations. So that's long pole in the tent. But I would say on average, probably, you know, once we get it, if it's a simple installation, you know, straightforward, you're talking 4 to 8 hours.
And then as far as like preventive maintenance, is that something that the client would just call the support number and then they fix it through the internet, or they ship it back?
So think of it as Apple Care. You know, when you buy an Apple, you buy Apple Care. So we have something called Tammy Care. And what that basically means is you get the white glove treatment. You know, hardware coverage comes standard with Tammy, but if you want, you know, the monthly calls, if you want us to set up your sequences, if you want us to train you, and, you know, robotics is still new, right? People aren't fully, you know, actually 90% of the people don't know how to use a robot. So we come in and, you know, train them, show them, you know, how to use it, set it up for them, set up monthly calls. If you want that escalated support, you know, we're there, you know, every day to help you with it. So yeah, I would highly recommend getting the Tammy Care. And then of course, if you want the Tammy Alexa skill through Connected Living, you would pay another $75 for that as well. But you know, you have all sorts of options. You can lease it. We have our own leasing company. In fact, some people prefer to lease it because then they just, you know, you don't have that hefty equipment cost. You just roll it into your cost of doing business, right? You know, you're spending another, you know, $500-600 a month, and you have this, you know, cheap nurse that helps you do all these things, right? So it's kind of cool.
Anybody else have any questions? I still think a goal of mine is to give one to the chamber.
Ah.
That would be fun when people come in, they're greeted by 2021 tools.
That would be awesome. We'll be ahead of the game in chambers, that's for sure.
Yeah. The next version of Tammy will have things like a USB on it. It'll have a bigger, bigger screen. So there's all sorts of enhancements, multiple maps. Because Tammy can't walk up and down stairs. You can put it in an elevator, but you can't have it, walk up. If you have multiple floors, you almost need one per floor, kind of a deal. So there's all sorts of enhancements coming down the road.
I was thinking about that in terms of Tammy being able to speak to a voice activated elevator when you were talking earlier, it's like, so that'll probably, at some point, it's going to have to be like that,
Yeah. Someone asked about a doorbell, and the way we do that is when it gets to a location and it stops, it actually simulates the doorbell. So because it doesn't have hands, it can't actually press the doorbell. So it actually rings the doorbell and then alerts the person that they're there. So a lot of communities use it for, family visits or, birthday songs or employee of the month or, announcements that, hey, food's being served or the car show's on, whatever it is, we can program all of that through sequences.
So
you mentioned another industry. Oh, sorry. Another industry that purchased other than healthcare.
Yeah, we've had, universities, the University of Texas bought a whole bunch. We've had, retail buy from us. We were, when we bought this, we really weren't thinking of all these different verticals. We were thinking, hey, let's solve for senior living. But then when people got wind of it, they were like, hey, I can see the solving for my problems I have with, insurance or, in my universities trying to, navigate people through libraries or, my boating showroom and I want people to come in. And they can't come in, so they were like trying to solve a problem and Tammy really solved it for them. So it was sort of, we got thrust into all these different sectors as a result of that.
So can you program one Tammy to talk to another Tammy?
Yeah, I believe that's on the roadmap. I don't believe that's possible today, but it is on the roadmap for later this year.
Okay.
One question I had, Sanjeev, was like languages. Can you train it to speak other languages? I'm assuming you can,
Absolutely.
right?
I think there's 42 languages that come standard with the Tammy.
Would they just hit it, or would the be voice recognized?
Yeah, it's a setting. So you would just select it.
Okay. And then for safety, for like a hospital environment, it's navigating down the hallway, then a doctor runs by, on call. I'm assuming.
Yeah, so it's got obstacle avoidance, so it doesn't physically crash into someone, it just stops and it avoids the obstacle. And that's where the LiDAR comes in. So the LiDAR is constantly shooting lasers and navigating its surrounding. So it doesn't hit an obstacle at all, it just avoids it. And if it's following you and someone comes in between you and the robot, it still follows you because it locks onto your body and just keeps following you as long as, it's you tapped it on its head.
Right. Okay. Like malls will be having these different types. Yeah. It's funny, people think of robots as Terminators. Oh, but go ahead, sir.
Yeah, it's already being used in malls, office buildings. If you think of a use case, they've probably already done it. During the pandemic, a lot of people used it for screening, taking surveys, asking questions. At one point we even had our own thermal camera to take temperature and, sanitation options and so on. So there's all sorts of things that people are using it for.
Right.
What would happen if somebody tried to pick up Tammy and leave?
That's a very timely question because they just launched it's like a siren. Like when you pick it up, it just says, help me, I'm being robbed. And it starts shouting and then it sends this alert and a phone call to the front desk and whoever you want it to alert, 911, security, owner. And it's like this really loud, deafening noise. So yeah, I don't think you want to pick it up with that kind of noise.
No.
And Jeev, would it avoid, like say someone spilt something on the floor, would it recognize that, or would it run through it?
So if it's just like water, it doesn't recognize that there's water on the floor, so it'll just go over it. But if it's like an object, it would avoid it. So I have this video that I show people where, you know, someone's dropped like all kinds of things on the floor, like socks and objects, and it's like navigating through this, like, you know, this really sort of busy floor with all these different objects, and it does it quite well. Especially the newest version, it's got a really quiet LiDAR, and it's able to navigate through very tight spaces.
That would be useful if you were in a daycare center and there's kids crawling around, right?
Right. Yeah.
Would you give us your contact information so that we can
I'll put it in the chat box. I'll put it in the chat box. And feel free, you know, Todd has all of my information as well.
Do you?
So it's just shetty@connectedliving.com.
Yeah, that was fun. I was excited to show off your demo to everybody, and I'm glad there's just a wide variety of people on the call today. One question I had too, maybe as we kind of wrap things up, is really adoption. You know, as writing all these books in virtual reality, is the idea like you go through the early innovators, then it goes through like a process. Where is this falling now? Because I know virtual reality seems to be entering the early adoption phase. So the first people are going to start adopting it now. So where is this?
Yeah, you know, if you'd asked me this question about 3 or 4 years ago, I'd have been like, you know, the senior living, as some of you know, is like 6 to 10 years behind the curve in terms of technology. And, you know, it would have been, you know, who would have thought telemedicine and remote patient monitoring would take off, right? But obviously the pandemic, it's kind of like the saying, necessity is the mother of invention, right? So when there was a need for connecting residents and families and bringing virtual care and helping staff, you know, there was like, you know, people were looking for anything that could help them. And because of Temmie's price, its flexibility, its, you know, its ability to adapt to any environment, the adoption level was really high. You know, obviously price is a huge factor. You know, people don't want to spend $75,000 on a piece of robot. And here you're talking, you know, the price of 3 iPad Pros, right? You're getting this sophisticated machinery that does all these things. So I think the fact that it's easy to use, the affordability just made it really, really easy to sell.
Mm-hmm. How tall is Tammy?
Tammy is 3 feet tall, and it's about 25 pounds. The nice thing about Tammy is because of its height and its bottom heavy, it doesn't tip over as easily as some of these other robots you see in the market, like the Double and some of the other ones that have these long sticks with a little smartphone on its head. Those things tip over quite easily, but Tammy is just the right height and just the right weight, so it doesn't tip easily.
I've got a question real quick. I don't think I caught it earlier, but just what is the retail price of that currently right now for Tammy?
$39.99.
Okay, so $4,000. Okay.
Yeah, but if you bought 5 or more, we could certainly, you know, bring the price down.
Are you aware of any technology grants out there that someone like a chamber who's a not-for-profit might be able to do that, so we could get one of those and have it even starting just in the lobby?
Yeah, so there's a couple. There's the reinvestment fund from CMS. I'm happy to share it with you. And there's also the FCC telehealth grant, which is really used for social engagement technology. And during the pandemic, I know both those funds were being dispersed. I know the reinvestment fund was like $3,000, and the telehealth grant was much larger. But if you're interested, I can certainly share that with Todd, and you can get it from him. There's an application process, you know, you need to qualify, and there's certain criteria for qualification as well, but happy to share that with you.
Oh, thank you. That would be great, because as Todd made a joke, I mean, we seriously would love to be, I mean, we want to be as innovative as possible and be leaders in chambers throughout the country, and to have something like that in the lobby, start pushing that out on social media, people come in and that's who greets them before, I mean, that would be incredible. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. The other thing that I'm working on, and hopefully this happens here in the near future, is I'm also working with regulators and others to try and see if we can get the TEMI reimbursable either through telemedicine or remote monitoring, because even as an assisted device, because that could be game changing for us.
Thank you.
Can you get it so that Medicare would reimburse it?
Yep, that's the angle I'm working.
Yeah, I would think so.
I need a personal robot.
Don't we all?
You're not old enough, Todd.
I use it a lot.
How many do I need?
It's unbelievable. I mean, even for simple, Alexa is nice, but Tammy sort of really takes it to another level. There's so many things it does. It's unbelievable. Especially it's the whole safety factor, right? Like if I have one of these, at my parents' place at home, I can see if they've fallen. I can walk around and be there, like I was physically there without having to travel there. All those telepresence features and the navigation. I mean, I can walk around their house like I was there. It just makes it so much easier.
Can you make it vacuum the house too?
Surprisingly,
so that's coming.
Every single demo.
Do you have a robot?
I won't say every single demo, but probably 50% of the demos that I do, the first question they ask me is, "Can it vacuum my house?" And the answer is always no. You need a Roomba for that.
No, and you were talking about a recharging station and all that. That's what those robot vacuums do.
Yeah, so it basically, the recharging station is the home base, and it goes back to that. It's really nice how it goes back to it, kind of, knows where it is, and, through its sensors, it just kind of sort of connects to it and charges itself. Yeah, but
how long does it take to charge?
I would say a full charge is like an hour, maybe less, depending on how drained the battery is.
That's fast.
Yeah, I'm glad I asked that.
What type of battery does it use?
I can get you the specifics, but it basically goes on the body of TEMI. Actually, no, it goes on the bottom, on the base, underneath. I can get you the specifics.
I had a question.
Very interesting presentation, Sanjeev. Thank you very, very much.
Absolutely. Glad it was helpful. And like I said, if you guys have more questions, feel free to reach out to me. Happy to, dive into details as well.
I had one question before we wrap things up. That's okay. I know Bobby's on the call. She's an awesome nurse, and she's gonna be doing some stuff in virtual reality too. But what are the responses from the actual boots on the ground, like actual nurses, administrators, and so do they see them as helpful or in the way, or how does that all work?
I think they find it helpful, but it's all in the way that you use it. Some people just use it as pure entertainment. Like, for example, we had one community where every Friday during happy hour, they have live music, you can ask questions, it's like trivia, interactive games. And then you have other communities who are really sort of leveraging the power of TEMI as a workforce. So they have this really detailed TEMI planner where they're saying, okay, Monday it does this, Tuesday it does this, Wednesday it does this. I mean, they have a whole schedule laid out. So it really depends on how you want to use it. But I think the overall feedback has been very positive. People are really seeing the value that it brings, especially now with, the staffing challenges that we all witnessed, right? I mean, it's not just about, having something to assist you, but also about staff efficiency. And, beyond TEMI, our platform, and we've done case studies I'm happy to share with everyone on this call, that has shown staff efficiency go up 40% because, they don't have to do a lot of those, repetitive daily mundane tasks and manage content here and there. You just have one place to manage all your content, and you can do all those things that, for example, we had one community that said, hey, listen, we have people who are irritated like 1 hour a day, and, we have to send a nurse into the room and spend time with them. Now they can send TEMI and have TEMI, interact with them, play games, talk to them, connect them with people. I mean, those are the little things that really add up at the end of the day. So, You know, it just depends on how you want to use it.
Great.
And are you still back east, or are you here in San Diego?
No, I am in near DC, just outside DC in Northern Virginia. But I'm happy to come out there if, you know, now that things are opening back up.
And it's interesting timing. Maybe this is a good way to wrap things up is, you know, the world's opening up and people are realizing for the first time that the world's changed. So we have all these new tools, and it's interesting. We want to go back to the past, to the old tools, but we have access to all these amazing tools, you know, robotics to help us in our daily lives.
You know, the one thing I will tell you, not just from feedback, but just, you know, from my personal experiences, robots are not there to replace the human connection or the experience. You know, if you think about senior living, it really has made a name for itself because of the human touch and the human experience and the human connection. So it's not there to really replace that. It's just there to help people out and supplement that human experience, whether it's through engagement, amplification of connection, you know, bringing in that virtual care, helping you with those tasks. It's really there as an assistant more than, you know, trying to replace a human being and, you know, a staff member. That's not its purpose.
Well, it looks to me like it would be really beneficial in that type of setting, because you kind of give an independence back to the people that are living there, that they can do things on their own and have a source of entertainment, shall we say, you know, on different levels, and to be able to reach out, you know, to family members whenever, without just the old boring telephone thing, right?
Exactly, yeah. And, you know, quite honestly, given the age of some of these folks, you know, it's really hard to navigate a tablet, you know?
Yeah.
But having Tammy there and having your loved one on the other side, like literally like staring you in the face and like they were there, you know, on Tammy, and they can move around as you move around, and they're able to navigate around your room is really something fun. And, you know, it's just a different experience. It's kind of like experiencing the world through VR, right? It's different. It's, you know, it's just not the same.
What if somebody wanted to buy one for their mom and put it in a facility where there isn't anything like that? How easy or hard would that be? I can think of somebody that would have the money to do that.
Mm-hmm. They can do it right now. It'll take them 5 minutes. connectedliving.com/Tammy. You go in there, put in your credit card, it'll come to you next week.
Wow, thank you. This is very enlightening. Very, very enlightening.
Yeah, our warehouse is in Pennsylvania, so it ships. I mean, literally, like, if you get the order today, you'll have it next week.
Right.
So,
I
Sanjay,
hate to leave this conversation, but I've got to run.
Okay.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you, Sanchez. And it was great being here. And we'll definitely be in touch. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Beverly. Bobby, you had a question?
Yes, I just had a question. You know, we're talking about putting the robots in the facilities. So is the administration, you have the buy-in from the administration of these facilities?
We do, yeah.
Great.
Typically, we need to have an administrator who sort of manages the Tammys, you know, the person who manages the fleet. And it's typically, you know, like either, you know, not someone in IT, or, you know, like an administrator or a resident enrichment director, or someone needs to be appointed, you know, to the Tammy as the administrator, because they're the ones that need to allow like members to be, or contact to be members of the Tammy, schedule those family visits. But once they get the hang of it, it's not that hard.
Okay. So do you train those administrators? So you have someone that does that training for them?
We do that for you. Yep. As part of the setup and install, we do it for you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Well, thank you, everybody. It's 1 o'clock. I want to be respectful of everybody's time. And yeah, that was fun. I'm so glad you had some time to spend with us today, Sanjeev. And thanks for joining us, everybody.
Thanks a lot, Todd.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.